10,
9, 8,
7,
6,
3,
2,
1.
0.
Hello, one and all. Welcome to the stream. I'm everybody's favorite caster and commentator, riding solo for today, Notgollum in the booth. And I have an exciting match for you today, ladies and gentlemen. It is Team Other versus Team Southern Cross. These are two of my favorite teams to watch throughout this season. There's been a bit of a turbulence to the roster switching over on Team Other recently, but they just had a solid victory against another Dasher team. I won't spoil the results of that yet. You'll have to go ahead and watch their other match from this cycle to find that out, but don't go anywhere just yet. I want you here in the lobby with me to watch this exciting match. Southern Cross, an all-Australian team for those who aren't aware, but you should be aware at this point. They are on a fantastic streak this season. Honestly, this, I think, is the best performance I've seen out of Team Southern Cross in all my time in Dash League. Xerneas, Universal, Axion, Rapscallion, and whoever is going to be their fifth today, an absolutely dominant roster for the Australian team. Xerneas especially, a unknown player, at least unknown to me, coming out of nowhere and doing fantastic at the Dasher tier, absolutely keeping up with teammates like Universal, who are known as very solid players even outside of the Australian and Pacific region. And always what has been the detractor for Team Southern Cross has been difficulty dealing with huge ping differences, which, I mean, it would be difficult for any team to play at 200 and 300 ping for a match, but they are doing very well for themselves this season. Meanwhile, Team Other, with a relatively new lineup, at least new to me, so far in the lobby, we have a Brackers, and we have Outsider. Looks like Nugget popped in and is over on Southern Cross. They are bringing their A game today for this, really hoping to win this match. Probably paid attention to their Other's most recent match too, and have taken some notes and are looking forward to try and take the victory today. For those who aren't aware, since we are in Cycle 3, the maps are Abyss, Volcano, and Stadium, as always, as the tiebreaker. Abyss and Volcano, the two newest maps to the league, have stirred quite a bit of controversy, if I'm honest. I mean, if I were to give my personal opinion, I really, really enjoy these maps because they are just so different from the other two of their respective payload and domination categories. And I especially like how long and expansive they are. Volcano, one of the three domination maps, the only one that you can't immediately get to either your home button or the central button to try and counter and contest from spawn if you spawn right as a countdown starts. For those who are new to Hyperdash, that might not mean anything, but you'll see what I mean soon enough. The distance between buttons is something that a lot of teams have been trying to figure out ways around, because it's not necessarily like it's an especially long distance, but there's just a lot of twists and turns in the map, and teams even at the Dasher level have had varying degrees of practice with this new map, even though it's been out for a few weeks at this point, many weeks at this point. But regardless, Abyss has been around for a while now. Still the newest of the three payload maps, but has been around for a fair bit. Teams have been developing strategies for it for a while, and I'm really looking forward to what each of these teams are going to bring to the table today. Max Defense now hopping in the lobby for Team Other. And in the meantime, we will be waiting for the remaining two players on Team Other, and then we will go ahead and get started with this payload map with Abyss So I'm going to go ahead and start a little bit of a poll here for you all to answer. What do you think is going to be the victorious team on this payload map? Is it going to be the Thunder from Down Under, Team Southern Cross, or will it be the other team? Team Other, as it were. You know, I know that's a terrible pun. That's an awful pun with the team name Other, but they kind of fell for it themselves when they named themselves that. It's you've got to be asking for it really at this point, and it seems, while I've been jabbering on, that two of the top players for Team Other at this point in the season, F2P and Ajax Water, some fantastic players within their own right, have hopped in the lobby to play for Team Other today. This is going to be quite the match, folks. For those who are not quite in the know about the rosters on each of these teams, these are some of the top roster that each team can bring, at least in my opinion and experience. Obviously, I'm not in the team servers for either team. I'm not talking with them all the time, but I've seen most of these players play and grow for a few years at this point. And F2P, for example, over on Team Other, a fantastic player, not just in the standard way of using pistols, dashing quickly, and being smart about their positioning and movement, but also has some pretty good utility with a lot of the different heavy weapons and with shields as well. Something that we're learning this season on Abyss especially can be very powerful when used correctly, and when capitalized on by the rest of the team correctly as well. That's something that I'm looking forward to out of F2P. That being said, we are on a Sydney server. You can see my very high 290 or so MS ping. There is an indication of that. Team Southern Cross going to be trying to use this ping advantage to take the Abyss and then struggle their way through the US server advantage on the Volcano domination map, possibly even just going for a Hail Mary on that map but not expecting to win it and just trying to bring it to control point. But you can tell by the ping difference here that Abyss is the map Southern Cross is hoping to win at the very least. If they don't take this map, oh man, it is going to be a tough ride through the domination. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the poll. So far, a lot of love for Team Other thus far. A lot of other fans in the chat today. I won't knock it. Personally, I'm excited to see Southern Cross try and get a W on this payload. Classically, they've been very, very good at Launchpad and at Waterway. And historically, they've had difficulties facing stronger teams on Canyon and on Waterway. Or on Quarry, excuse me, misspoke there. And so these two new maps being added into the mix here, it's going to be interesting to see how this team adapts and whether they've been paying attention to some of the meta that's been developing around these two maps, especially around Abyss, which has had, like I've said, more time for the meta to develop. I'm also curious whether they're going to bring something new and interesting to the table with Volcano that's relatively untread waters. A lot of teams are just kind of trying their best to see what works, and for the most part trying it even just in league matches. So there's a lot of question marks around Volcano for both teams as far as what will work and what doesn't. Meantime, it seems like Universal and F2P just having a little bit of a chat, hanging out, sitting on the ground. I've said this many times before. I'll say it every single time if I have to, and if I sound like a broken record, that's just because you're watching too many of my casts, or maybe you're not watching enough, but I love VR expression so much. I love how it tracks your body movement and how expressive you can be in VR games like this. It's also just so active, and because it's so active, you can be so emotive, and you can really get a sense for what different people are like in a way that on PC and console games you just can't. And that is a ton of fun to me, and it feels a lot more interactive as well. You can also get a sense for a lot of different players' real-life abilities. This really tests your hand-eye coordination in a way that most other games don't. Hyperdash is so fast-paced that you need to be on it, especially at this higher level that teams like Southern Cross and other are playing at. You have to be locked in for these league matches, or else every little mistake is going to be capitalized on by the enemy over and over again until you've fallen too far behind to keep up. That is very often what you'll see happen, is at this point teams will start to capitalize on mistakes rather than just push forward with an advantage, and that is what really can bring teams the victory. Speaking of bringing teams somewhere, both these teams have all their players here in the lobby and are good to go. Let's go ahead and say hello to whoever this is. I'm getting a thumbs up from Southern Cross, and now we are starting Southern Cross versus Other on Abyss. Here we go. Of course, it is going to be Other starting on blue. They will begin pushing the payload here. Ajax going to be starting on that bottom window. Southern Cross, in the meantime, going to be interesting to see how they roll out here. Axion possibly going to be holding back a little bit on this health. Pretty smart position, all things considered. Universal going way back, trying to capitalize on having as many dashes as possible. We'll see if he can get back in time. Oh, he's grabbing rockets. Okay, that's actually fantastic for holding back like they are. Good kill by F2P though in the house. Securing that house is a fantastic way to maintain control of the cart here, and also F2P playing very smart, trying to distract those Southern Cross players and doing a fantastic job of it. Still maintaining the house and almost securing his third kill. In the meantime, it seems like most of the remaining Southern Cross players are very low on dashes, and the cart has moved uninterrupted, even double stacked a little bit, pretty consistently here. One thing I really like out of these other players is how often they're taking fights with two together against one Southern Cross player. In the meantime, oh, the cart has been wiped. Good kill by Ajax Water, taking out that Rocketeer. Rapscallion is quite the Rapscallion with the rockets if you let him stay alive for long enough. Nugget, though, trying to take out F2P here, does get the kill, and the cart is starting to get stopped little by little. You do expect Other to maintain an advantage this early on when they have the health, but Rapscallion has some nasty rockets, so as long as they stay protected, which they did get taken out, you can see that in the kill cam, or in the kill feed, that they did get taken out, and now Other is trying to take some space, but they are not quite able to secure it, and the cart's movement has stopped. Good flank by Universal. Now, getting that corner dash. They are very low on health, though, so they are going to retreat back to the safety of the rest of their teammates until they can get some health and move forward, but they get taken out by F2P before they can grab that health, and now the alley is in control of Team Other, and they are moving that cart forward slowly but steadily here. The water room is still in control of Other, but they are not quite able to move forward except for one player. Nugget, it seems, was the one to move forward there. And now Other is just trying to prevent Southern Cross from grouping up around this corner and then hitting the cart all at once like a wave, which is exactly what Southern Cross is able to do with Nugget and Axion together. Anyways, good double kill by Axion is going to pretty much completely halt this push by Other. Now Rapscallion is set up with the rockets and is fantastic with that rocket at the top of the hill here. We can get a little bit of the view of Rapscallion. Good reaction there on the rockets. That is a very good position for blue team to try and flank the red team rockets from that water room if nobody is protecting them, which so far seems like Southern Cross has a pretty good hold on the cart but does not have hold of that flank position. You can see Ajax was looking for those rockets, but Rapscallion was behind in the flank grabbing health. Good timing out of Rapscallion to be going and grabbing that health. A lot of space being given to Other in the meantime, but Other is just not quite able to capitalize on it. And Rapscallion taken out. If Other realizes this, they're going to be able to double stack the cart quite easily unless the rest of those Southern Cross players can prevent some movement on their own until Rapscallion is able to respawn. Seems like these other players are dying one by one. Abracker's noticing that, is trying to switch things up some way, somehow, grabbing explosives it seems. But I like having Axion next to the cart here. She's been very consistent with her charge shots for the most part recently, and as long as she's able to hop onto that cart and prevent that micro movement, then Rapscallion with the rockets should have more than enough time to hit that cart. But if Rapscallion is getting pushed, then he gets taken out by Ajax Water. That's the thing with the rockets. If you don't have anybody in front as a barrier, essentially, to give you the time to hit that cart as consistently as you're able to do with rockets, then you're going to get easily pushed and taken out. The rockets are pretty easy to time out if you have the space and the dashes to do so. I like this momentum change out of Nugget, but F2P, very good shots, riding that rail, takes him out, and now the space is back in others' favor. Are they going to be able to build up the dashes, though, to hit the cart all at once? Most of them are grouped on the minimap. You can see it, and now the cart is moving. Rapscallion gets a good double kill with those rockets. F2P trying to space him out, takes out Rapscallion, but he is all by himself and is not going to get very much movement because Universal very smartly hopped onto that cart there. I like Xerneas sightlining this fast route, but he does get taken out by Max Defense. He did not spot him in the water health, and now Max Defense is trying to move forward, backs up for the rest of his team, but Rapscallion gets another double kill. You can't let him do this. Outsider trying to bait out the rockets, does bait him out, but Rapscallion had the space to get another kill, but does get taken out by a flank of F2P, and Other is continuously trying to move that cart. Good headshots by Nugget here. Ajax now riding, does not get the kill on Rapscallion, who does get rockets and is able to back up. It seems like they really want that double rocket, though, to make sure that they can secure kills onto the cart from way back in a safe position. But they are just waiting for those other players to overextend. Good charge shot out of Rapscallion, showing you don't have to use pistols all the time. I don't like that no Southern Cross players hopped onto that cart, though. That was just a bit of free movement from Other, even though they did ultimately die. And they are very close to that checkpoint with such little time left. If you want to pre-check a team, you need to be holding them further out than this. Although this flank by Nugget is very well timed, it's going to single-handedly kill this push out of Other, and now Other realistically only has one more chance to push forward, and they are going to have to take out Nugget if they want to do so. This disruption by Nugget is insane. A little bit of movement onto the cart is not going to be enough if Nugget is able to take out your whole team. Nugget hops onto the cart, gets a kill on F2P as well. Rockets take out the last remaining players. Good rocket timing as well by whoever that was on the corner. Southern Cross pre-checks Other and does lose a player, seemingly to connection issues of some sort. We've been having issues with the API that you can see in the top left, right, and center, but that does not seem to be the issue today. It seems like Southern Cross is legitimately down one player. They did manage to pre-check Other, but they are going to have some difficulties pushing forward unless that fifth player can get into the lobby soon. Got just a few seconds left before the start of this map. Outsider set up in the alley. Ajax at the corner with double shotguns. I like that position that they're trying to hold back just a little bit, especially considering the ping difference. You have to remember Southern Cross does have a solid ping advantage here. Ajax trying to bait out some over disruption out of that Southern Cross player. I think with only 4 players, Southern Cross really just needs to stay around the objective, stay close to the objective, especially this early on. They can't afford to disrupt and try and take space when no space is going to be given to them. When you're down one player, taking space is that much more difficult. Everyone on the team has to be doing 1/5 more work than they normally would. Ajax still alive with that double shotgun and that cart, only just now getting up. They've been held up quite a lot in this area. If they make a similar pace to Other throughout the rest of this map, then they're going to have a difficult time not just making checkpoint, but even making it as far, as close to the checkpoint as Other did. Good hold here by Max Defense of the water health. Southern Cross still struggling a little bit around the objective, it would seem. Getting a bit of movement here, but A bit of disruption with SMGs does take out the cart, and F2P drops in with rockets, but there was nobody on the cart when he did so. So he did not get the kill, did not get the dash, and got taken out. Ajax just waiting for more teammates. Rapscallion spots the missed charge shot and takes him out. Hopping onto the objective now, Southern Cross really needs to double stack as much as they possibly can, considering that they are down one player. I can't stress this enough. This is a terrible time to be down a player as soon as they enter water room and the spawn advantage starts to get into others' favor. Southern Cross is going to have an even more difficult time pushing this cart at all, let alone consistently. The disruption by Nugget is fantastic. They are distracting people as much as they need to allow the rest of their teammates to try and follow up on the objective, but only 2 players being half your team means... Oh, Xerneas is back in the lobby. Okay, Xerneas is the one who is out. Now Southern Cross has 5 players just in the nick of time, if I'm being honest, of any of the places in the map to join. Just as you enter water room as blue team is the time to get that 5th player back. That is where the spawn advantage starts to shift. And you can see that Southern Cross has been pushing this cart a lot more consistently ever since Xerneas got back into the lobby. But others starting to set up a hold here. Ajax flanking onto the cart and backing up, trying to bait out some dashes out of those Southern Cross players. Nugget, though, charges straight forward, riding that rail. Does not get the kill on the shield, though. Good distraction by Max defense. Does not hold that shield up for long enough, though. And now the cart is being held. F2P trying to set up with those rockets, and Abraka's trying to give him space. Good headshot onto Axion there. Takes out the cart, and now is in the alley, stealing resources from those other players. Gets helped out by his teammate. I assume that was Ajax. Yes, it was. Universal at this high rail window, trying to use it as a fast lane for the rest of his teammates to now follow up on the objective, but Southern Cross is at a very difficult time playing together at this point. Other has just been too good at disrupting, and this is a killer hold by Team Other. As long as they keep dying only 1 or 2 at a time, this hold should be pretty easily maintained with those F2P rockets, but Max defense getting taken out. That was the front line for F2P, and now Rapscallion knows it, is going to try and time out those rockets, but F2P outdashes him, and Ajax Water replacing him was just enough of a distraction to pull attention away from those rockets that are still set up. Only 2 minutes left on the clock, and Southern Cross is really going to have a difficult time making it through this checkpoint with flanks like that of Ajax Water. Ajax does get taken out, and Rapscallion is on the cart. Southern Cross knows that the pressure is on, and it is on them to double stack this cart as much as possible. Good kill by Nugget, though, taking out those rockets. This is the time for Southern Cross to double stack and also push that advantage. Good pop out by Nugget as well, is trying to pull attention away from that objective. And Southern Cross is flooding in player after player. Nugget making very good use of both the ping difference and the cover available. And the cart is still flying, only just now getting stopped. Minute and a half left. Southern Cross is still going to have a difficult time making it through this checkpoint if this push gets stopped anytime soon. But so far, Nugget flanking, getting kill after kill on these other players, does not need to be the one pushing this cart, and he is absolutely not. He is just flanking behind all these players that are trying to rush to the objective. Finally gets taken out. This might be where Other starts to hold. That was quite the powerful push out of Southern Cross, but Max defense really living up to his name. I like the rockets out of Rapscallion. It was a good idea considering that Max defense likes to use those shields. Oh, a miss of the cart pushing. We are very, very close to Other's time. I think it's going to be very difficult for Southern Cross to make it through checkpoint at this point unless they get a very good group up here, which they do have. Good kills by F2P, though. Finally gets taken out trying to hold up the cart. But the rest of Southern Cross, for the most part, has been wiped out. A bit of a fight on the cart here does get ended by Abrakers with only 20 seconds left on the clock. Southern Cross functionally only has one more chance left. Axion not quite securing the kill on Abrakers there. Good rocket, though. Takes out 2 players. Rapscallion. Follow up onto the cart. Southern Cross does win and makes it through the checkpoint. It is going to be another 6 minutes of Other trying to hold back the tide of Southern Cross, who is ultimately going to take victory on this map. The question remains, though, How far can they take it? They just barely made it through that checkpoint. These are two very evenly matched teams. But it is important to remember that Southern Cross lost a player for about a third of that blue side cart pushing. Now with that fifth player and that ping advantage, I expect that this front line is going to be very solid on the part of Southern Cross. I like these aggro rockets too, at least in theory. They do ultimately get taken out, and Abrackers with the shocks is going to push forward with its teammates, tries to follow up on that kill, doesn't get it, someone else on his team does. And now, flowing through the health room is multiple shocks all at once. I don't know if Southern Cross is going to be ready for this. As long as Abrackers doesn't get taken out by Xerneas, that could have been a good hit onto the cart, but Xerneas with the frontline hold, forcing Abrackers and his teammate to be just a little bit too tentative, trying to move forward. The cart seems to, based on the minimap, be losing a little bit of time. I don't like how little Southern Cross is double stacking at this post checkpoint. And now the cart has been stopped. What? What a lucky headshot from the shotgun. Shotgun sniping for real, out of max defense. Honestly, I do love to see it when somebody just straight up gets lucky with the bullet spread there. Max defense going to go for another shotgun? No, he's going to stick with pistol shotgun. It's working so far for him. And very good at pulling attention away, too. These Southern Cross players are going to all the wrong places, and he's eating up a lot of their time as the rest of Other tries to flow forward. But they don't win the team fight. Southern Cross does win the team fight, and now the cart is continuing to fly forward and has been doing so for the last several seconds. Universal following up behind the cart, goes for the fight in C room, doesn't secure the kill, but somebody else does. And the cart has been stopped only briefly though. Now the rockets are up for Team Other, that's probably F2P, hiding somewhere behind that jelly. Universal not quite securing the kill, his teammate following up. Good kill on Ajax, and good double stack push here, really trying to keep that advantage and keep the pressure on as well. F2P though very fast and accurate with his dashes, which is exactly what you want from a close range Rocketeer, which is pretty much the only type of Rocketeer you can have at this zone in the map, considering how easy it is for players like Universal to flank onto the rockets if they're caught unawares. And now the rockets are down. Southern Cross is pushing forward onto that objective. Good kill out of max defense. One SMG, one pistol. Does get taken out by Xerneas though, and now the momentum is in favor of Southern Cross, but it seems like a lot of these players are dashing every which way, trying to secure kills and not taking up positions around the objective. Thus, they're running out of dashes very quickly, and that is kind of biting them in the back. This push, which was very solidly in favor of Southern Cross, has been halted seemingly just by the passage of time, not necessarily anything in particular that Other did. This push is being picked back up again. It was never fully stopped by Team Other, and Axion staying very focused on that objective despite how low her health is. F2P now behind the cart with the rockets. Mistimes the rockets. That was very lucky out of Universal hopping onto the cart when he did. And nobody on Southern Cross knows that F2P is alive. Rapscallion finally turns around, takes out those rockets. This is the time. As soon as those shocks are dead, the cart needs to get moving, and it is. It is just about turned around the corner. Good kill on Outsider by Rapscallion, and disruption into the attic is going to pull attention away from the objective. If they don't look away from the objective, then Rapscallion's just going to shoot them in the back of the head like he's been doing. Good group fight there, but Xerneas following up at the perfect time. Does not get that dash, but does take out the one who did get it. The cart has been halted, but Xerneas is way in the back lines of Other. Good snipe out of Outsider. Good double kill out of Outsider. That might kill the push if the rest of Other is able to follow up properly, especially because they have the spawn advantage. But 86.5% is a very respectable percent to make on this map, especially when you only just barely made it through the checkpoint like Team Southern Cross did. You can see Other trying to stack onto that objective, which you would expect, especially with the spawn advantage that they have now. But Rapscallion in a very tricky position, does get a kill onto the shocks, and now pops up behind, trying to take out any other explosives that might be alive. Tracks F2P, takes him out, and outdashes him. Takes out Matt's defense as well. Is solo, pushing the cart. Can the rest of Southern Cross follow up in time before he gets taken out? He does die, but the rest of Southern Cross is desperately trying to flood in with 1 minute remaining. They did not flood in together enough, though, and ultimately that push has now died. It is just such a long distance for Southern Cross to travel from the blue spawn in this post checkpoint, and so short for other to travel from their own respective spawn, that as soon as a player is taken out of the equation for Team Blue, the push is just that more difficult to maintain because it takes so long for somebody to follow up. 2 whole team fights can happen before reinforcements arrive for Team Blue, and Other is making a great use of that fact. I liked that attempt out of max defense. They just did not quite expect Axion to be hiding in that corner like she was. Now she's pushing that objective, but Abrackers with the shocks, seeing why it was so important for Rapscallion to take him out earlier. I think Southern Cross has an opportunity to get an overtime if Nugget can get into position with those dashes. Falls onto the cart at the perfect time, and other fellow Southern Cross players falling onto the objective, but they do all die one by one, and Other holds the cart at a 5/100ths% away from 92%. Meanwhile, Other making it to 33% on their own. We'll take a look at the scoreboards here. For Team Other, top scoring and top killing was Ajax Water, 58 kills, 48 deaths, 6,500 score. And for the victorious team in blue, Southern Cross, Nugget, top scoring, 61 kills, 43 deaths, 7,400 score. But top killer for Southern Cross was actually Rapscallion with those rockets, those flanks, 65 kills, 41 deaths. Second to the top scoring for their team. And now, we will be hopping servers, so for just a moment I'm going to go ahead and bring us to a bit of a waiting screen here. We can all hang out together while the server swap is in progress. I will see you all soon. And welcome back, everybody, to this second part of possibly 3 parts of this match between Southern Cross and Team Other. We are now on a US-based server. I can only assume this is Dallas, just judging by... No, it is New York. There we go. Of course it's New York. I could just read down here this whole time. I can't believe how long I've been playing this game, and never once in the cast have I paid attention to the name of the server to figure out what the ping is. I just look at the number here, I see it's green, and I say, oh, must be a US server, of course. This is going to be advantaged for Team Other. And if they've been practicing well, Southern Cross might be able to take this one too, especially with the way they were playing in that payload. But it is going to be all the more difficult for them. Team Other now wants revenge. They want to bring it back to a double control point right after this. And you can see that in how quickly all of them joined the lobby. Meanwhile, Southern Cross presumably going through either some kind of roster swap or trying to figure out what happened with Xerneas falling out of the map and getting, unfortunately, disconnected for a couple minutes during that payload while Southern Cross was blue. Regardless, that was a good abyss. And now I'm going to be checking in with all you fine people in the chat. Who will be victorious on this volcano? Will it be Team Other, or will it be Southern Cross? Go ahead and leave your opinion here. And in the meanwhile, we will have to wait and see. once again, I'd like to thank you all for hopping in to this cast with your favorite casting commentator, Notgollum, in case you need a reminder. We very much appreciate it here. All of this casting and commentary and all of this playing, of course, too, is volunteer work. It's just because we love this so dang much. We love this community and this game so dang much. Let's peep that Xerneas has since left and Wakanda is swapping in another solid player that I unfortunately, until today now, of course, have not seen very much of in the past. I know they've been playing for Southern Cross for a little while now at this point, so they're not quite as new to me as Xerneas was this season, but I am quite excited to see their performance today. Meanwhile, over on Team Other, they're going to be sticking with the exact same lineup, considering that all of them are warm, and both teams are ready to go. Southern Cross versus Other on Volcano. Here we go.
Match starts in 3.
I'm quite interested
2,
to see how the
1.
openers are going to go for
Go.
either team, whether either of these teams are using... Oh yes, it seems like
Red
Max
takes
Defense
A.
used that little wall
First
skip there.
elimination.
That is possible. Only for blue team. Ajax Water falling into the water. Their namesake,
Red takes
Wakanda,
B.
struggling
Blue
to hit the
team
button, does get it, but now a
scores
countdown
in
for Team
Counter.
Other. They have full control of
Red
Southern
takes
Cross's
B.
base at this point.
Blue takes B.
Southern Cross, in the meanwhile, is struggling to get control of any button. Rapscallion trying to play a little bit of a distractor while teammates hopefully reinforce here onto the B button, but Other has been absolutely dominating on every button except for Southern Cross's. They're just trying to maintain some sense of solid control here on B, presumably, maybe even feeling out the playstyle of the other team a little bit before hopping
Red
in
takes
to
B.
the opponent's button. Southern Cross now with control of their own
Blue
base
takes B.
and of B.
Blue team score.
Other
Countered.
control of all
Blue
three.
takes
Rapscallion getting a good counter there.
Blue takes
and is now
C.
contesting
Blue
on
team
his own button.
scores in 3,
Goes to chase the
2,
kill.
Countered.
Barely gets the
Blue
counter,
team
and Max
scores
Defense
in
punishes.
3,
Only
2,
two Southern Cross
1.
players left alive. Good button
Blue
hold by Max
team
Defense.
wins
Ultimately
this
not quite
round.
necessary since Wakanda was not quite able to recharge that dash in time to make it to that button. Regardless, quick first point out of Other
Match
Southern
starts
Cross.
in
I know they're at the
3,
ping disadvantage,
2,
but they're
1.
going to have to switch something up
Go.
if they want to not only extend this, but
Red takes A.
try and obtain a victory
First
here
elimination.
ultimately. Good forward push by Max Defense. Does get taken out by multiple Southern Cross players rushing to their own base. They're not going to get held up like that again
Countered.
this round. Outsider, though, sneakily going through the bottom
Blue team
towards
scores in
the base
3,
of Southern Cross.
2,
Another countdown
countered. Blue
and a
countered.
counter by
Blue
Nugget.
takes A. Blue
Nugget
team scores
losing the
in
fight
3,
against Max
2,
Defense, or Ajax
1.
Water it was. A second
team
quick point
wins
by
this
Team Other.
round.
This one might be over quite soon if Southern Cross is not able to switch something up. They've just been having a difficult time maintaining
Match
control at
starts
any
in
button.
3,
In particular, they
2,
really need to switch something
1.
up if they
Match
want a
point.
chance at victory here today. Let's take a look at the rollout out of
Blue
Wakanda
takes
here.
C. First
Cautiously
elimination.
approaching. Good use of cover
Blue
here.
takes A.
Good kill on Ajax Water
Red
as well.
takes
Hits that
B.
button. But it is the only button in control of
Red
Southern
takes
Cross.
A.
They do get their own once again, and
Red
Wakanda
team
is being
countered.
supported. Axion over in the enemy
Blue
base, fighting
takes
with
C.
F2P.
Red takes B.
Gets taken out by
Blue
Outsider.
takes
Outsider
B.
with the pretty solid long range and charge shot abilities. Does like that one pistol, one shotgun though. Good kill out of Universal. Good double kill out of Universal. This is an opportunity for
Blue
Southern Cross to
takes
try and
C.
turn things around if Universal can get this kill against a Brackers. He does not. I do like that Southern Cross is not letting
takes
off of the
A.
gas pedal. They have
Red
control of B.
team
They have control of their
scores
own.
3,
And so Axion
2
sneaks
countered.
behind. Good counter out of
Red team
F2P. Good switch
scores
up.
3,
But there are
Red
two other
team
players left
scores
alive.
3,
Three other players left
countered.
alive. And they are
Red
countering
team
on B.
countered.
This might have been a point by Southern
Blue
Cross,
team
but they
score
missed.
countered.
One kill on the B, and that was all that Other needed to try and get back
Red
in this.
takes
Ajax
B.
Water with the killer disruption. In Southern Cross's base takes out two players like it's nothing, and is camping that
Blue
high rail
takes
spot.
C.
The one going underneath and hits him from behind. Another kill on Axion.
Blue team scores.
Ajax
in
Water
3,
absolutely killing it
2,
over in Southern Cross's
1.
base. Holds the button.
Blue team
Barely
wins.
needs to, though. Other does win this domination in a swift 3-0 victory. We will be moving on to a double control point today. That more than makes up for the absolute domination by Southern Cross against Other on the previous map, getting pre-checkpoint like that, and now swapping into a 3-0 to bring it back. Top scoring and top killing for Other is, of course, Ajax Water. We saw the way they were playing at the end there. I'm not surprised. You shouldn't be either. 13 kills, 6 deaths, 3,200 score. Rapscallion over on Southern Cross, top scoring with 3,600. Top scoring in the whole lobby as well, despite their 5-7k and death. We will be staying in this same server for the control point, as you can see here. We'll be getting right into it as soon as Southern Cross and Other are done with their discussions. I assume by the fact that Southern Cross is out here in the main lobby, they are already good to go. They know what they are going for. They know what they have to do. Other, meanwhile, is trying to recuperate a little bit from the excitement of that turnaround victory, especially with how swift it was, and is going to try and capitalize on that momentum, but not get too excited. They can't lose focus here, because it's not just a matter of winning one control point. You have to win by an insurmountable number, so that when the server advantage swaps back to the other team, it will be difficult, ideally even impossible, for the other team to bring back a victory by outscoring in that second control point. That ultimately is the goal, as I think if you just look at the numbers second to second, Other is going to take this first control point. Southern Cross is going to take the second one. I'd be surprised by any other result. It's just a matter of by how much will each of them take their respective victory, and how much can they reduce that gap on each control point that they are expected to lose. If either team wins on an off control point, like if Southern Cross takes this first control point, then Other is going to have a very difficult time bringing it back in that second control point, as that is quite unexpected. And or on the flip side, if Other wins this first control point and brings it to the second, it has an early advantage. Despite the ping advantage being in Southern Cross's favor, that is a surefire sign that Other is on track to win this Cycle 3, match against Southern Cross today.
First elimination.
I'll now be leaving a little bit of an ask here in the poll for those interested. Who is going to take overall control point? I'm not asking for one in particular. I already told you what I think about that. I don't care what y'all think about each individual control point, who's going to win it. Who's going to win control point overall? Will it be Southern Cross, or will it be Team Other? Go ahead and leave your response on the poll that I posted in the chat, and we can take a look at that later, see if you're right, see if you're wrong, see if you should feel badly about how right or wrong you were. And we'll just have to wait and see how that pans out. In the meantime, both these teams continuing with their discussions here. Nugget sitting about as short as you possibly can while still being able to move around here, as if you get short enough, start to get some red arrows pointing at you, showing that you're too short and you're not allowed to move when you're too short, because that hitbox, being so small, can actually give you some advantage. If you were allowed to move when you were that little, it's like a crab mode that used to be possible here in the game, where people would crouch down and use the crouch button, and it would just, it looked ridiculous, frankly. I mean, you might be able to see it. You might be able to see it in previous seasons. I think even just last season, very early on, it was still possible. No, No, it was 2 seasons ago. It was still possible to go crab mode. Just a weird way of crouching where your character's body is kind of leaned back. Your hitbox is just so small, even though your head is right in front of it. All you are is a head, legs, and some arms with guns popping out. An absolute crab. Seems like, so far, a pretty split vote in terms of Southern Cross versus Other taking this control point. I'm excited to see that, and I hope the rest of you are excited, as excited as I am, to get started with this next map. Southern Cross, starting to meet in the middle, is good to go. Other, finishing up a little bit of their discussion, and then they will soon hop into the lobby as well, and we will get it going. Seems like whoever that is might be trying to draw something here. I wonder about that. Okay, let's go ahead and turn on the main HUD. Oh no, we can't see names like that. Never mind. Little bit of a dance here. Love to do that. Love to do that. That is Nugget, I thought so. Just hanging out here. High damaged. Somehow. Getting damaged in the lobby. Man, people... I mean, honestly, I love the glitches that exist in this lobby. I hope they don't all get fixed, but... they're just so funny. How you can shoot each other in lobbies if you hop through the shields, or even... people have found new ways to hop out of the center ring and into this area here. Obviously, since I'm a drone, I could just fly through it, but as a player, that is very difficult to do. I personally still haven't figured it out even. But it's I always think it's funny when you do. Just a bit of harmless fun here. Hopping out of the lobby. Some discussion out of the captains of each team. Probably getting ready to go and making sure that they're on the same page about the second control point, needing to not only switch servers but start as soon as possible. It should be treated like it is just one map, and the timer in between maps being allowed only 5 minutes is a surefire sign of that. Other seems to... no, they are not down a player. They do have Mr. Pump in, though. Southern Cross is the one who is down 1 player at the moment, presumably working on getting their 5th in the lobby now. Rapscallion, Axion, Rembrandt, Wakanda, and a 5th mystery player will be the roster for Southern Cross today. Nugget hopping back into the lobby, good to go. Good as new. You'd see a thumbs up here. Just looking for some kind of nonverbal confirmation out of the team in blue. The team in blue yet to respond, seemingly distracted by the drone. Now thumbs up out of Team Other means the lobby is good to go. Southern Cross versus Other on double control point. Part 1.
Match
I hope
starts
you all have
in
locked
3,
in your votes
2,
for the poll,
1.
as I'm
Go.
ending it now. No changing at this point.
After the control point.
This,
Blue
of
team
course,
has
is the
captured
ping
the control
advantage in
point.
favor of Other, so no surprise that they have the
The control
initial
point.
hold. Southern Cross, though, bringing it back, and now barely pulling ahead right at the start here, but has a pretty solid hold around the button. So far, whatever strategy Southern Cross has set up is working out for them okay. Other, of course, has plenty of time to try and switch things up and adapt around whatever hold Southern Cross is working on here, but I like how often they're using that under the ramp area, and Rembrandt getting a sick double kill, almost getting a triple kill, but somebody else post-stashed that player, and Southern Cross has hold of the button once again, more than double the score of Team Other, and Rembrandt still lagging out. I'm sure that's just lag on my end, but yeah, that's definitely lag on my end, looking at max defense play. But they're doing very well for themselves at the moment. Other scraping back a little bit of a hold here, but it's still tentative. A lot of these other players around the button and max defense trying to set up with SMGs. Oh, it looks like Other has held this button for quite a while, actually, and is now starting to bring things back. They are still technically behind Southern Cross, but given that Other has the hold at the moment, and max defense is set up with those SMGs in quite the sneaky defensive position here, Southern Cross is going to have a difficult time preventing Other from catching up and pulling ahead. Good kill by Rembrandt on those SMGs. Those were holding back Southern Cross quite a lot. Ajax Water taken out by Axion. Axion ready to push into the button. Waits just a moment before doing so, but ultimately dies at the button itself. And Other still has control of that button. They are finally starting to bring the momentum back in their favor. Southern Cross is going to have to switch something up. They had a pretty unexpected beginning to this map. Given the way that that beginning of the map was, I give them more than decent chances of actually winning this first control point if they can keep up the pressure and the coordination here. I liked that hop onto the button out of Rapscallion. They didn't end up leaving the button though, they just stayed there and ultimately died for it. I'm sure they were expecting to try and just eat up a little bit of time out of those other players. It's also important to note that Southern Cross is slowly but surely creeping back in. Other does have control of the button, tentative control for the moment, and Abrackers is trying to hold it while F2P is the one who hops in and out. Good headshot out of Abrackers, and now Other continuing to pull ahead, but still only by about 15 score. Good double kill out of Rembrandt. Rembrandt definitely the star player of the past few button captures for Team Southern Cross, and F2P going for a little bit of an aggressive position, is able to flank these Southern Cross players and hop in and out, especially using that ping advantage to their advantage in being that much more difficult to hit. Ajax Water taking a page out of the Southern Cross player's book and hiding underneath the ramp, which Rembrandt does not check, and the rest of Other now holding around that button. That numbers disadvantage after Rembrandt died means that that push forward towards the objective ultimately fails for Southern Cross. Ajax Water peeps max defense hidden somewhere, takes out an Axion, does not take out Rapscallion. I swear I thought that was going to be max defense. Oh no, max defense is on Team Other. Oh my goodness. So of course it's Rapscallion with the double SMGs camping the lobby area, that's at least what I call it, and camping the dash as well. Another good kill on max defense. Rapscallion on an absolute scandalous tear at the moment. Does give up the dash though, and now Other is able to get that button once again, but Rapscallion still alive over on the far side, is protecting this very strong SMG position, not allowing Other to get it, and gets a good flank on Abrackers and his teammate. Abrackers ultimately dying to teammates of other Southern Cross players who are losing their advantage slowly but surely. They're still trying to keep it tight, but this is a pretty large difference at this point. This is where most teams start to get into a flow, and advantage doesn't change one way or another super often at this point in the map. It tends to stay more or less the same. Things might ebb and flow little by little, but unless Southern Cross switches something up, they're going to have a difficult time actually catching up and maybe pulling a victory out of this first control point. Rembrandt trickily going for a hold onto the button, does get spotted though because of that dash trail, and gets ultimately taken out. That would have been a good flank to have just a couple seconds earlier than that, but Ajax popping onto the dash Gets a good double kill. Kills Rembrandt as well with the SMGs. No, Rapscallion has SMGs. Oh my gosh. There's SMGs all over the place for these Southern Cross players. And now Other is keeping control of that button. Good kill by F2P. And good focus on the objective out of Team Other. They are very good about playing together around this button. Especially, I'm sure they are stressed out by the way that Southern Cross was pulling ahead early on and has been keeping up in general throughout this match. But they are losing that advantage slowly but surely. Every single time Southern Cross is given a chance to push in all together, they actually are able to hold the button for a significant amount of time. That is the key word, though. Move in together. Southern Cross has not been able to do that to the same degree that Team Other has, and that is why they are 50, nay, 60 score behind so far, with less than 100 left to go for Other to take this first control point. And two Southern Cross players hiding beneath the ramp. I wonder if they're going to get peeked anytime soon. That would be terrible for them. Rembrandt hopping out, missing the button, does get it hit, but F2P given more than enough time to take out both players, gets control of the button for Team Other once again, and the rest of his teammates are able to follow up. Now F2P is going to challenge whatever SMGs might be set up. Good kill by Wakanda there. Good double kill by Wakanda there. Other players are dropping left and right, but they still have control of that objective, and ultimately that is the most important thing. Not whether or not you stay alive, but whether or not the button is yours. Good kills out of Rapscallion, but is it going to be enough when the rest of Southern Cross is just not quite as focused on that objective as Team Other has been? I like the ideas of a lot of these Southern Cross players trying to flank onto the button or trying to pull attention one way or another, but ultimately if you're not hitting that objective and you're not playing together, you're not going to win, and this is solid proof of that. The ping advantage still in favor of Other, of course, but this is quite the score discrepancy out of Team Other. Nearly 70 score difference at this point already, and still another 40 left to go before Other takes the victory. Now it's just a matter of how far ahead can Other pull, or can Southern Cross close this gap and give themselves a bit of a chance on this second control point, for which they will have the ping advantage. That is the question that is and should be on everyone's mind. Max defense getting pushed a little bit here. As long as those Southern Cross players get pulled away from the objective, then max defense really is doing their job. A lot of these Southern Cross players hopping into the button, but getting taken out. Good kill by Rapscallion, trying to make some space for his team, but only 15 seconds left before Other wins this first control point here, and now he knows it. He hops into the button, gets taken out, and now Other players are flooding in with less than 10 seconds left to go. Southern Cross may or may not even make it past the 200 mark at 199 score. They do manage to make it to 202, 203, and Other wins. 300 to 203. Southern Cross has quite the difference to make up in the second control point, but it is not over yet. That opener out of Southern Cross was very solid, and if they're able to bring that same punch or more with the second control point, I give them decent chances of bringing it back. That said, Other has made quite a solid amount of space for themselves. Let's take a look at the score for this first half. Pretty even all around for Southern Cross, except Rapscallion going full kills and very little score. F2P top scoring for Team Other. Rembrandt top scoring by a large margin for Team Southern Cross. And as soon as we are out of this lobby, we will be hopping in to this second control point, and I will meet you all there. And here we are back in the lobby once again with F2P freaking out, bouncing between both of the teams. I have no idea how he does that, but is entertaining for me every single time he does. Other trying to stay warm and stay locked in here. Meanwhile, Southern Cross in with their full roster. Both teams have all their players. As soon as all the headsets are ready to go for both teams, we will get the second control point started. Seems like whoever that was, I guess, was having some sort of controller issue, but now all of these Southern Cross players are good to go. All of these other players are good to go. And thumbs up out of both teams means this second half is going to get started over on the Sydney server. Here we go.
Match starts in 3.
Let's take a look
2,
at a Bracker's no.
1.
F2P's
Go.
POV here as they hop up into the attic,
Red team has captured the control.
trying to get a flank around the button. Southern Cross goes for a bit of a wipe, but Other was doing the same.
Red team has
Some
captured
very
the
light
control point.
control of the button out of both teams. Southern Cross ultimately winning that fight, but Other coming back in force. Southern Cross is just trying to flow into that objective, given that no one particular team has solid control of it, but the more time Other is given to keep that objective and hold it all together, the better for them. And so far, the fact that Other is off to an early lead is not a great sign for Southern Cross, but we've been in this position before when Team Southern Cross had an early lead against Other on the previous check or control point, and we saw how that turned out with a 100-point difference in favor of Other on that Other control point. And now Southern Cross is starting to bring things back and trying to play around that objective. F2P very good at holding the button, but ultimately does get taken out here. The Southern Cross trying to maintain that lead. It's not just a matter of maintaining the lead, though. I think Southern Cross needs to make it to 108 difference in score. No, excuse me, sorry. Less than that. They need a 96 score difference. They need to make it to 300 before Team Other makes it to 204. If they make it to that mark, then ultimately Southern Cross will win this control point and this match. But if Other passes the 206 or 204 mark, I think they're going to be taking this control point. It is going to be tight. Southern Cross is continuing to maintain a bit of a lead, but Other doing a pretty good job, all things considered, of playing together here. Axion trying to survive for long enough for teammates to follow up on that objective. I think just moving in suicidally might have been the best choice. Unless she was further back, then possibly it would have been good to wait for teammates. But Other has had a pretty long hold on this objective that has yet to be seriously contested by any Southern Cross players. I think they were trying to group up, but somebody over on Team Other has been disrupting like a madman. Southern Cross does get some hits on the button, but F2P is still alive around that objective, and Other ultimately still maintains control of the button. Other has figured something out, and it is very difficult for Southern Cross to try and match and follow up. I like these aggressive SMGs out of max defense, and now backing up that the rest of his teammates have been able to follow up on that objective. He can just focus on the killing. Good flank by Rapscallion, though. It takes an SMG user to know an SMG user. Ultimately, though, Other still has some pretty solid control of the button and is well on their way to obtaining the victory in this control point if Southern Cross does not change something up in their strategy soon. Other almost starting to pull into a leading position with the way they're playing around this objective and pulling Southern Cross's attention away from the objective. Southern Cross is just flowing in one by one by one, and it is not working out for them. None of them can survive long enough on the objective for teammates to follow up. Rapscallion slow walking in front of Ajax Water ultimately takes him out. Something must not be working for Southern Cross's communication as Other pulls in a leading position on control point number 2. Southern Cross needs to be playing like their life depends on it, because Team Other is more than halfway to victory already on this control point. They do not need to make it to the 300 mark to win. Ultimately, at that point, it's just a matter of pride and MMR if they make it any further.
Blue team has
Southern Cross is
captured the
continuing to
control
fall
point.
behind. Something in
Red
other
team
strategy
has captured the
ever
control
since the
point.
beginning of that first control point has been working well for them, and Southern Cross has just struggled to adapt and to follow up. They now have control of that button, and they're starting to get in the lead, but they don't just need to be in the lead, they need to be dominating if they want to actually win the double control point and win this match, and other maintaining any amount of lead, not only a lead, but even if they're close, is not a good sign for Southern Cross.
Blue team has captured the control
Axion's
point.
been pretty good about focusing on this objective, and F2P missed a lot of those shots there.
Red team has
Now they're
taken
going to be
the
flanking
lead.
the button, and Southern Cross has a bit of a hold and is trying to maintain it by disrupting other heavily, but enough of these other players are able to sneak past that players like Axion have to leave those very strong defensive positions, and thus they're exposed to the rest of players like Max Defense following up on the objective and getting kills on players in exposed positions. Other knows that they're in quite the commanding position and is trying to play around the objective as much as they possibly can. Honestly, I think they need to do less of that and just keep pulling Southern Cross's attention away from the button. That has been working thus far. Rembrandt taken out. Wakanda does follow up here, and now Southern Cross is desperately trying to hold this objective
Red team has
close.
captured the control point.
They do have a lead, finally, once again, but this is going to be very difficult for Southern Cross to maintain. If they want a chance at victory, they need another 115 score before Other gets another 50. They need to get 3 seconds on button for every one out of Team Other, and with the way the rest of this map has been going, I don't see that as very likely to happen. I like Universal playing around the objective, hopping in like he did. Southern Cross soon going to pass that 200 mark, but Other still only 40 away from victory. Southern Cross is moving forward at the pace that they need if they really want to win, but can they maintain this pace for the whole time? All Other needs to do is change up one thing or another in their strategy that in a way that Southern Cross is not ready to counter, and this group push out of Team Other is probably what's going to do it. Now at 170, only 30-ish points away from victory. Southern Cross still does not have control of that button. Other still has multiple players around the objective, and Ajax Water is given more than enough time and space to chase a kill. And the Brackers now around the objective. Good kill on Rembrandt there. Is trying to use the button as cover and dancing around it over and over, eating up a lot of Southern Cross's time. They need a lot more control of this objective, and they need to play together a lot more. It's very difficult, though, to do that in a high-stress situation like this. Wakanda does not get the kill, but Axion does follow up there and hops in on the button, ultimately hits it. The Brackers and Mr. Pump flanking around the objective are going to get a couple kills and pull a bit of attention. Other needs only 10, less than 10 seconds of objective control to win here, and Southern Cross needs 60. Only a few more seconds before Other takes the second control point, and they are well on their way to doing so. I think at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, Other wins this league match against Southern Cross. Now it is just a matter of MMR. How far ahead can Other bring this, considering the difference they had on the previous control point? I'd say quite a bit. Southern Cross still technically ahead on this control point here, but struggling to increase that gap as much as they need to or wanted to. Good kill by F2P onto those SMGs. They have been a terrifying force in the back line of Team Other, Rapscallion has. Wakanda pushing forward, trying to prevent Max Defense from getting that dash. Universal following up with the kill, does secure it. Good headshot there as well on F2P. He was a key player in trying to get that objective control, and now only 20 seconds away from ending the second control point. This is a lot closer than I expected it, considering the fact that Other has won at this point. If I'm honest, 15 seconds left to go for Southern Cross to take it. Every second does still count, and Southern Cross cannot get too desperate. They need to play like they're behind because they are behind, but if they rush in one at a time time like they're doing, like they've been doing just a little bit too much throughout this control point. They're just going to lose more and more time. They only have 10 seconds left to go. They don't need to hold it like a lot of these killer holds out of other have been. They just need 5 more seconds of Rembrandt surviving on that objective, and Rapscallion should have turned around to that button. Ultimately died for it, and now Other has controlled that button once again. Only 3 seconds left to go though for Team Southern Cross, and Ajax tries to hold it, does not hold it well enough. Southern Cross wins control point number 2, but Other wins the league match overall. Congratulations to Team Other. Let's take a look at the scoreboards here. Things have swapped a little bit score-wise. In the previous map, Southern Cross player Rembrandt, I believe it was top scoring for the entire lobby. This time it's Mr. Pump top scoring for the entire lobby with 10,000 score, 31 kills, 35 deaths. Over on Southern Cross though, Rembrandt still top scoring for his team, 9,000 score, 24 kills, 37 deaths. Well done. Well done. That was quite the exciting match to watch. Even that control point was still very close throughout most of it. I love to see it. Thank you all for hopping in. Once again, I've been Notgollum, everybody's favorite caster and commentator for this Hyperdash League, and I will see you all in the next one.